If you're looking for a single cut style guitar that has lots of vintage vibe and character, but you don't want to go down the traditional route of getting a Les Paul, for instance, and maybe you're looking for something a little bit different, you may be interested in this guitar. In my hands today, I have this brand new guitar from Shergold Guitars. This is the Provocateur Standard. So if you've been following Shergold Guitars for a while, you may recognize this shape. This is their Provocateur model. Now this is their take on a classic single cut style shape. It kind of sits somewhere between like a Telecaster and a Les Paul style guitar. It's a very functional guitar with a ton of great sounds. Now this one is from their new Standard line. So the Standard line is something Shergold have introduced this year, which is their guitars but in a more affordable price range. So the Provocateur Standard also shares the price bracket with the Telstar that you recently saw on the channel as well, which is their kind of Telecaster Firebird type hybrid. This one, however, does have a more expensive counterpart. So if you have followed the brand for a while, you'll know about the Masquerader and the original Provocateur that they launched a couple of years ago. Those are now known as the Classic series, so they sit in a higher price range, they're higher spec instruments. But this one is the new one, which is basically half the price of the old one. So this video, we're going to find out what makes this thing tick. But before we check out the specs of this thing, I just want to let you guys know this is not a sponsored video today. Shergold aren't paying me to make this video, and I'm not keeping this, I've just got this on loan. I'm basically shooting this video because Shergold are my friends, I like what they do, and they asked me if I wanted to check this one out as well. It's the only one in the line I haven't checked out. I already own 3 Shergolds already, and I'm a big fan of the brand, so of course I said yes. The guys don't know what I'm going to say in the video, so as always, all the thoughts and opinions are my own. So before we go too spec heavy, I want to show you my original Provocateur. So this is actually my personal guitar. This is one that I've had for maybe about 3 years now, and I love. These ones retail at something like 800 to 850 in the UK, and then these ones retail at just over 400, so it's half the price. But is it half the guitar? We're going to find that out today. So, I mean, I've been playing this one for a while, and I love this. I know this thing exceptionally well. The biggest differences are in some of the materials used, and they've obviously saved money to get the price down to halfway. Now, these ones, I believe, are Indonesian made, and these ones are Chinese made. But that doesn't really affect anything in the grand scheme of things. The biggest differences are the Classic series are loaded with Seymour Duncan humbuckers. It's got a custom designed half ashtray tele-style bridge with 3 brass saddles, and the body is solid mahogany. It's got a torrefied mahogany neck, and it also has locking tuners. So this one really is just higher spec. Obviously it's made with better materials and it's a great guitar for less than £1,000. I actually think those are some of the best guitars you can get for under £1,000. Now this one is retailing at about 400 from the Standard line. So obviously there's going to be a couple of differences in terms of construction, but overall Shergold have still managed to capture the vibe and the feel of the more expensive ones, just in a more affordable set. So first of all, colour. This is mint green. Now, Mint green obviously isn't going to be a colour for everyone, so this guitar is also available in a blonde colour, which is kind of the colour of the pickguard, like an off-white, and that one has a black pickguard on. This is quite a cool colour though, it's very much like that kind of 50s and 60s surf guitar type vibe. So instead of having a solid mahogany body like the Classic series, the Standard series actually has a solid poplar body. Now it's fully solid, there's no chambering, and even though they've used a different wood, they've not actually shaved off any weight, because this is actually the same weight as that one, it's £7. So it's still a good, hefty guitar. On top of the body, instead of the custom half telly style bridge, we have a Goto style string through bridge. So it's a string through body. We have a single volume and tone with a coil split on the tone control, which is very useful because you can split those humbuckers. 3-way switch and 2 page humbuckers. The page pickups are also on the Telstar, they've just got their Filtertron versions on that. On this, they're page humbuckers. The scale length on this is pretty interesting. It's a 24.625-inch scale, the same as the Classic series. So it's kind of slightly shorter than your regular Gibson scale, which is 24 3/4. But that means that this feels a little bit slinkier because technically it's a short scale. So you have a little bit more ease in string bends, especially if you're using heavier gauge strings like 10s or 11s. You can bend those strings a little bit easier than you could on a slightly longer scale guitar. So this is actually great if you want that kind of Les Paul look, but a bit more slink in the feel. On this guitar, we have a Laurel fingerboard with a 12-inch radius. And instead of the aluminium fret markers, we have these lined ones, which are some kind of sort of fake pearloid material. I'm not sure what exactly, it just says lined on the website. And we've got hard nickel medium jumbo frets. We have a solid Canadian maple neck, which I'm guessing is stained. I don't think it's roasted. I think they've probably just stained it to kind of have the look of the torrefied mahogany that you have on the more expensive ones. And up at the headstock end, we do have locking tuners like on the more expensive model, but these are unbranded tuners that feel slightly cheaper than the Classic series, but they still work pretty well. They're definitely not the exact same tuners that they're using on the Classics, but they are locking tuners nonetheless. And a synthetic bone nut. On this guitar, we also have a headstock decal versus the original version, which has this nice inlaid kind of enamel crest. Obviously, that's going to cost a lot more money than just a sort of regular decal, so they've gone with the decal on this one, which obviously helps bring the price down that way as well. As you would have probably noticed, this is also a bolt-on neck. The neck heel has a slight curve away, so when you're playing higher up, it is a bit easier to get up there than on a Les Paul. It's still a chunky neck join, but the sort of shaping here helps your hand get up there that little bit easier. Considering this guitar actually comes in at half the price of the Classic series, it's actually not half the guitar. This is actually an incredible contender for its bigger brother, which is really cool. I was very interested when I heard that they were doing this because I was really wondering how they were going to capture the magic, because that is one of my favorite single cut guitars that I've ever played, and it's kind of my go-to single cut whenever I need any single cut type tones, like a Les Paul type thing. I'll always use that guitar because it's got Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates in there, which is obviously the Billy Gibbons pickup. So it really has a lot of Les Paul vibe. This thing though, they've done an incredible job with. I'm really, really pleased with how they've managed to keep a lot of the vibe of the instrument without sacrificing too much. So that's kind of it spec-wise. Now we're going to plug this thing in and hear what it sounds like. Alright, so gear-wise, I have the Provocateur Standard plugged into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6. The amp is running completely clean via the 2-note Torpedo Captor X, and in front of the amp I've got the Turnham Ridge Overdrive that I'm going to be using later on in the video. So we're going to start with some clean tones now. I'm going to start with humbuckers, then we're going to do some coil split clean tones after that. So I'm just going to play a little bit and move through the 3 pickup positions, starting with the bridge. So in full humbucker mode, we get quite a nice push there from the bridge pickup. It's not fully clean. That is a single channel tube amp that I have got set quite loud. So when we play soft, it's quite clean, but then as soon as you start digging in, you can really get that to kind of push it over the edge. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but with the coil splits engaged. So some quite cool coil tapped sounds there. I really like the middle position for some funky stuff. That's a really cool sound. There is quite a big drop in volume with the coil split there, as is to be expected. But it's not completely unusable. If I was using this guitar live, I'd probably consider having maybe like a clean boost on my board just to compensate for that volume difference, because that is one of the more extreme coil split volume drops that I have experienced, but it still works great nonetheless. Now, I'm going to turn on the Kernam Ridge overdrive, and we're going to hear this thing with some overdrive, starting with the humbucker mode. So that is jam-packed full of really cool tones. Even in the neck position, it doesn't get too muddy. So you can get those kind of thick power chord riffs. And it's really got that nice fat chewy thing, and in the bridge position there's plenty of articulation for playing really kind of tight sounding stuff. So yeah, those humbuckers sound great. I haven't actually played Page pickups outside of the Shergold range, so I'm assuming that they're an in-house brand. My first experience of the pickups was in the Telstar, and now obviously these humbuckers. So now, same thing, but all three positions coil split. So there you go, there are some tones from the Shergold Guitars Provocateur Standard. Now, as someone who has been playing the Provocateur Classic for going on 4 years now, I'm very impressed with what they've done here. My initial thoughts were, obviously it's half the price, so you know, how much of the vibe of this thing are we going to lose in this one? And honestly, the answer is only a little bit. So, of course, the Classic is obviously the better guitar. It's higher spec, it's got better materials, but that is not to take away from this one. This is an incredible instrument, considering it comes in at just over £400 in the UK. Now, I really think that today, as guitar players, we are exceptionally lucky to have things like this available to us in these price ranges, because when I started playing guitar maybe like 22, 23 years ago, you would not get anything this quality for that kind of money. This would probably be closer to the price of that one, and then that one would be closer to the price of maybe like £1,200 or something like that. So yeah, we're very lucky that we can have guitars that are this great for such a small outlay of cash. Now, I'm not disputing that £400 is still a lot of money, but in terms of what you're getting for your money, this is a lot of guitar for that. So yeah, I really like this thing. I think they've done a great job in keeping a lot of the vibe of the original one, with obviously some changes to help the price come down, but they've obviously not sacrificed the things that make the Provocateur a really cool guitar. It still feels great. Still got the slightly chunky neck, the slightly rolled fretboard edges. It's got the Shergold look, which obviously I think is a big part of this as well. And yeah, I just think they've nailed it again. I think the Shergold guys have done it once more. So yeah, there it is, the Provocateur Standard. What do you guys think about this thing? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you've played a Shergold Classic, and you've played one of these, and, you know, you've compared the two, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you think about the comparisons as well. But yeah, I think they've done an absolutely fantastic job here. So thank you to the guys at Shergold for loaning this to me for a couple of weeks to check out. I really like this. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you guys think down below. I look forward to hearing what you guys think. Big thanks to the guys at Shergold for sending this over to me to check out for a couple of weeks. And while you're down there letting me know what you think, don't forget to hit the like and hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching.